All right, guys. We've had 3 really good days of practice. Attitude of our team is really good. We're ready for a business trip down to Miami, and be excited. Good football team we play. Miami's a good football team, offensively, defensively, special teams. So we got to come with our minds ready to go and play a great football game.
You talk about attitude. I mean, you talked on Monday about close games against top 25 teams and all that. I mean, it could go either way for players, right? They could either get encouraged because they played so close, close to those good teams, or discouraged that they weren't able to kind of finish it. You've seen it go the encouraging way?
It's always going to go encouraging, guys. That's kind of how we coach. It'll never go south. We're always, I think, kids understand how we coach. And I think it starts with the coaches. If the coaches start getting down and start screaming and get frustrated with our players. I'll scream and get frustrated with other things, but not with our players ever, on game day. And I think that's an important thing. Our guys, we coach them positively. And I think that's why they'll always be with us.
Did you orchestrate Tyler Boyd coming the other day, or how'd that work out?
No, Tyler, I had no clue. I had no clue that they were open this weekend. I'm still not sure if they were open or he's taking the day off. But he's just swagging around the field. What's up, coach? But he's unbelievable, and that tells you got a good culture here when he comes back. You have a day off. There's a lot of things we do on a day off. So I don't know if you guys had the day off if you were coming here today. But it's just great to have him back and come and say hello to the guys.
Do anything in particular to simulate Miami's speed on defense? Just asking.
We had the track team come out. Pitt track team came out. We had to put some pads on. Told them to run a couple hundred. I mean, it's just like simulating, Georgia Tech's, option. You can't simulate that. But we go skelly every day against each other. And I always tell our DBs and linebackers that that's the best pass period of the day. We go scout team. It's really what routes are they running. Make sure you execute and do the right thing. But the best pass period of the day is 7-on-7, where we got to go against Justin Wheel. So we have some of those fast guys too. So we have one period every day that they get to go good on good. And that's what we do.
Were you going to the sideline this Saturday thinking about what happened last week?
No. Forgot about that long time ago.
You were talking about the culture there when you were referencing Tyler Boyd coming back. How much, Pat, has that been said that you've really tried to foster in your time here so far about trying to sort of bring guys back and sort of keep former great players involved and connected?
Well, we have a lot of them coming to the game, this weekend. Anybody in those areas we try to cultivate, whether it's our athletic department taking them out to dinner and really just bringing them back. We've got one of our former players down there, Lafayette Pitts, will come to dinner Friday night. He's not our honorary captain, but I want to bring Lafayette back. I just texted him the other day and say, what are you doing? He's got to work on Saturday. He's got a real job now. So he's got to work Saturday till 2 o'clock. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him, for the second half of that game. But he's going to come over and see the team Friday night and probably say a couple words. Just that's what it's all about. Is, bringing those guys back. I really believe that.
Who's your honorary captain going to be?
I don't know if I'm allowed to tell him. Am I allowed? Do we usually? It usually doesn't get out until the evening, till Friday evening. But if I tell you, will you not say anything?
Yeah, I won't tell anybody.
You promise?
Yep.
Because usually,
What about everybody else? Does everybody else promise?
Everybody promise? It's Lusaka polite. It's not a big deal, but it was a couple of times we sent out the video before we told our team, and we got a chance to see it. So, but Lusaka polite, Woodland Hills guy, lives down the area, works for the Dolphins, played 9 years in the league, and, does a lot of charity. Just a super guy. So he'll be the guy.
Did you catch wind of the internet sending you to Purdue to coach them?
No, I didn't. I don't look at that stuff. That's funny. I'm not going anywhere.
What do you think of it?
I don't know who makes up those numbers. We don't need to talk about that, but I can just tell you that it ain't happening. Okay. And from now on, I'm not going to even comment on it, but it's
okay.
You know where it originated.
I guarantee
the
you.
stupidity behind it.
Now listen.
It was EJ.
Stay down. Stay quiet. But that ain't happening. You can take that to the bank.
All right, I will. Thank you.
I'm sure you anticipate Miami trying to stop the sweeps. Are you really pleased with how the offense has kind of responded when teams have done that in the last 2 weeks, especially?
You know, again, it's football. That's football. I mean, you can't take it all away. I mean, we rushed for 180 yards on Virginia Tech defense. I don't know, what people rushed on this year, but that's probably the season high, I guess. You can check the stats. I can probably check the stats. But, the reason we run the offense we do is you take one or the other way. If you want to take those away, that's why James rushes for whatever he rushed for. So, I mean, that's all part of the package. If you take the dive away, well, then the keep and the pitch. You take the pitch and the keep away, well, then we should be able to run the dive. That's what the option teams do. And if you take all three away, then they run the toss play, right? So they ran this year. They didn't run option. That's what they do. So, that's just part of the game plan, and if that's what they take away, then we know we have something else. And then, we have a variety of different runs, whether it's inside zone, outside zone, or power that we run in there. So there's different schemes that with the jet sweeps, we run different plays up front. And I think, if you looked at it overall, we run the same plays every week. We might dress it up a little bit different, but it's a package.
When you
Good question.
when you watch film on the front back, I don't know how far back you go, but except with Miami, when you look at their season, they win their first four, lose and lost their previous four going into this. Is there anything you've noticed kind of change with them at all?
Yeah, and the thing you really notice from the first games to the last four games is the first games really didn't beat a great football team. That I don't even know who they are. And then the last four, we had Florida State, Notre Dame, and the competition was stepped up. Which to me says they got beat by Virginia Tech. So I mean their competition was a little bit better, but they were hanging there. They hung in there with everybody they played. So that's the biggest difference. It's not scheme. It's not that maybe their attitudes changed. They're playing hard. They play with great effort. Mark Richt's a great football coach. So it's just it's what happens when you run into the buzzsaw of the season and you start to get the competition like we're in right now. I mean, Virginia Tech's a good football team. We've got beat by 3 top 25 teams. We beat a top 12 team, I guess. And you look at it down the line, and then you got a great Clemson team coming in next week. So it doesn't get easier.
You were talking about the schedule picking up there, Pat. Do you think that especially given the season that the conference has had this year, with having some pretty highly ranked teams, that the perception of the ACC is kind of starting to change a little bit, where people view it as a pretty strong football league?
Well, yeah, I don't know how you feel, but I've felt like that since I got here. I didn't come to the ACC because I thought it was a poor, big, Power 5 conference. It's a great conference. It's always been, as far as I'm concerned. When you look at who's playing in the, in a championship game, gets into the playoffs, the Final Four. I don't think the ACC's been excluded from that since we're gone. So that's proof right there is in the pudding there.
I saw that some Big Ten coaches were saying that Friday night games would hurt recruiting. Do you believe them?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, and I don't think so. I mean, I think maybe the high school coaches wouldn't be as happy if you did that, and that's why we don't like to and try not to. Anytime we have to say, really try to avoid that in scheduling. But sometimes it happens. But I think it could hurt recruiting for sure. Because
the coaches won't be able to see the players as much because they have a game.
Yeah, well, you don't have any recruits coming to the game.
Right.
Because they got a game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it hurts recruiting because your high school coaches, that's their night, really. It's Friday night is high school football. Saturday is college football. Sunday is NFL football. That's kind of historically, traditionally what it's been. And I think when you do it the other way around, I don't think high school coaches are very happy about that either. It's hard to, I would hope the Pittsburgh coaches would be upset if we played on Friday nights and took away, maybe something that's theirs. That's why we don't want to do it. We're pretty happy about that.
Big final?
I couldn't help but notice I didn't see Jordan out there yesterday for the time we were out there.
Yeah. Kind of a personal issue. He had a grandmother that passed away. I don't really talk about that. But his grandmother, his mother's mother passed away. So he's at a funeral.
We'll be at the game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the funeral was yesterday. Wake was Tuesday, yes.
What's been giving Miami trouble in pass protection? It seems like that's really been their Achilles heel the last couple of weeks.
Great players up front. great players up front. That's what gives them problems. Guys that can get to the quarterback. You know, when you play good players, watch Notre Dame's front four, front three, they're pretty good up there. That's what gives them problems. It's not fundamentals. It's not scheme. Not going, what are they doing? It's good players beating good players. That's what you have to do. Okay.
Thank you.